Hey everyone, this is Scriddle number 12. If you don't know what Scriddle is, you should watch the first episode in this playlist, which is for Scriddle number 9. But essentially, we are going to solve a puzzle today without knowing what its rules are. So normally, when you have a puzzle, you know how to solve it because it tells you kind of what the constraints are, what a solution has to look like. But for this puzzle, we don't know what the answer should look like, but we can guess, and when we guess, Scriddle will tell us if we've broken any of the rules of the puzzle. So it's a different way of solving a puzzle. Super fun. You can play it by going to scriddle.net, and I like recording these partly just to sort of show my thought process as I go through them. Just going to turn the music down a little bit, make sure it doesn't drown me out. Right. So, today's puzzle, what can we do? That's what I want to check first of all, because sometimes the interactions are different. So I can toggle squares on and off, but I can't toggle the numbered squares. So a bunch of numbered squares. One thought might be that, well, so we're going to fill in some of these squares and then hit guess, and it's going to tell us how right we are. Initial thinking is that actually it might be kind of, this number needs to be touching this many squares, or it needs to be surrounded by this many squares without touching any other squares. This is kind of like, but I think this will be too easy to satisfy, but let's do this now and see what we get. So this would be my solution now. So this is adjacent to 3 squares, 3 squares. I mean, when I say adjacent to, I guess I mean there's a path, or you can step on that many squares without touching a white square. So we're going to click guess, and Scriddle's now going to tell us which ones we got wrong. So we've broken the red rule and the orange rule. So there might be more than 2 rules. Scriddle only shows us rules that we've broken. So first thing to note is this breaks the orange rule. So that's kind of interesting because I thought that so sometimes Scriddle's showing us that this 1 at the bottom breaks the orange rule. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that the other numbers aren't breaking it, but I think it's probably significant. I would imagine that it's significant. Because every time I think it's not significant, it turns out to be. And the red rule, you can see, actually that's interesting. So almost everything is highlighted. Very interesting. Except the 2 and the 1. One could just be kind of self-satisfying. So maybe it's that we can't have straight lines. Maybe that's what it is. I feel like that might make sense. So then we would do something like this, maybe. This, yeah. So a lot of this is kind of thinking about, okay, red rule, yes. Orange rule, no. Yellow rule, no. Green rule, no. Okay, so now there's 2 extra rules because our first solution actually satisfied these rules, but our new solution doesn't. So what have we changed? My theory about the red rule, so I didn't talk about this while I was checking, but like, it's notable that the ones that it's highlighted are ones that are kind of not straight lines. So here for the 4, I went up, up, and then right. Whereas the 2, I've just gone down in a straight line. And the 1, again, I mean, sort of trivially satisfied. So I suspect there's something to do with straight lines here. But we can already see that we've kind of latched on to one of the functions of this puzzle, I think, which is that these numbers need to be connected to a number of shaded squares, and they themselves are included as shaded squares. I think that's sort of part of the essence of this. So we are breaking the orange rules here. And the fascinating thing about this is that these squares in the bottom have not changed, but previously they broke the orange rule and now they don't. And vice versa. So that's probably the most terrifying aspect of this, because that has really thrown me. I'm wondering if... there's multiple of them though. Okay, let's think about that. These ones break the yellow rule. So the yellow rule does kind of quite conspicuously seem to be... These are all isolated. You see this one's on its own, this one's on its own. There's no... If I'm standing on this number 2, there's no path that gets me to another number. Same for this 3. But these ones are connected. So I'm thinking probably they want the paths not to touch each other, which makes sense. And then the green rule is actually exactly the same. So, okay. Let's see if we can fix some of that. So the answer is that we can't. So my theory is already kind of shot, because this 3 here, if it's got to be straight lines, then it could be a straight line this way, or it can be a straight line this way. But either way, it's going to end up touching one of these other 3s. So that's okay. We might have like misunderstood one of the rules. Totally fine. So let's think about like maybe it's fine to touch here. It's probably not fine to touch though, is it? What was so bad about this? It's definitely these. This is basically the theory I was about to try anyway. That's not good. That is not good, folks. It does seem to be about not touching the other regions. Okay, let's just... I think something that's interesting to do in Scriddle is to put in a partial solution. So I haven't even attempted to solve this 3 here and then see which rules this breaks. So this actually still respects the red rule, interestingly. Which could be about straight lines still. Maybe, I'm not sure. These ones break the orange rule. Does that make sense? Kind of. Okay, it does feel like... Okay, so yellow does seem to be about connecting to other numbers. So on guess 2, yellow and green were highlighting the same areas, which was a bit confusing because if we have an intuition for what one of the rules is, we don't have a way to tell it apart. So my intuition was that you know, you shouldn't be able to walk from one number to another on shaded tiles. But I didn't know which rule this is. This is a little bit clearer because here the green rule has now been broken by this 3 as well. So my suspicion here is that the yellow rule might be something to do with not touching other tiles. I think the green rule is expressing that... I think it's expressing the first constraint we noticed, which is that basically each number should be adjacent, or it should be connected to that number of shaded tiles. So the reason why the green rule is broken here is because this number is connected to 6 shaded tiles, this one's connected to 5, and this one's connected to 1. And that doesn't match their numbers. So I suspect the green rule is to do with that. The problem is that I'm beginning to build up a set of rules that are contradicting each other. So we need to take a step back, I fear. Interestingly, I don't think any of the rule breaks so far have referred to the white space. I wonder what the other rule is. Why did this satisfy it? I think I know what it is. No, because that actually doesn't make sense. Okay. So, we need to start figuring out some of these theories, because one of the... Like I said, one of the difficult things is if it's got to be straight lines and also they can't touch other numbers, that really makes this pretty difficult. So I feel like one of my assumptions has to be wrong here. I wonder what it would do with this. Because these are not the same numbers that are... Well, but again, we can't satisfy this one up here. Not good. Okay, let's see what it does with this. Red rule, okay. Okay, so we've... Okay, so it's definitely not straight lines. If you see, this was broken here with non-straight lines, but actually this one here is fine, and we've got several numbers that are not straight lines. So that's good, that's really good. This grid breaks the orange rule. I don't think we had a theory for what orange was, right? No, I don't think so. Okay, let's come back to that. We did have a theory for what the green rule is, and this does break it, and no other thing on the thing on the map breaks it. So that's fine. Now that we know that sort of break, like corners essentially are allowed, we can reconfigure the board a bit. Again, we've got yellow and green must be quite closely related rules because I'm breaking them quite commonly in exactly the same places. And then this is just interesting. Why would this be bad? Why would this be bad? Okay, well if this is our guess, why don't we do something like this and see what we get. Okay, so I'm getting deja vu, folks, because in one of the previous Scriddles we couldn't repeat the same shape, and I'm beginning to get that feeling again. Because this shape here is technically the same as this shape here, just rotated. And I'm now wondering if the red rule is actually to do with that. So if we look at where we broke it before, it's telling us that, well, this is not the same shape. These are the same shape, but this one is not. So, and we kind of have reused the same shape here, and it didn't ping us. So maybe it's not quite that. It's just weird that this shape in the top left was fine here, and suddenly it wasn't fine. If I invert it, does this pass the red rule? Nope, still doesn't. Okay. 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 Why would that be okay? Why would that be okay? Alright, so still breaking red, and ooh, that's interesting. Look at that. Why? We changed almost nothing, but now this breaks the orange rule. So I'm kind of feeling like they need to touch diagonally? That would be a crazy reason. That would be a kind of a wild rule for a puzzle. But it does seem to be it. I think orange does seem to be something about touching. So all we got to do is figure out why this is no good. And I honestly couldn't tell you. I honestly just could not tell you. This makes a lot of sense, this diagonally touching rule thing, because something I've spoken about in the previous episodes is there needs to be a place for you to start solving the puzzle. And under the rules that we're kind of building up, ones are very special in these rule sets because something has to be touching them diagonally. And that means that's actually quite constraining. Like, this is where you would start solving the puzzle, I think, for sure. So the 2 kind of has to go east. I mean, maybe not, but I think the 4 definitely can't reach it. The 3 could reach it, but not without violating the 2. I think I'm not crazy here. I think this 3 has to be like this. I don't think it can be any other way. I'm gonna. Let's do this and see what we get. Okay, we're still breaking the red. Was that? Oh, that's highlighting. Is that highlighting the shapes at the bottom? They've changed color, but what does this mean? I've never seen this before. They're highlighted, but they're highlighted in gray. That's very odd. Does it... I have absolutely no idea what that means, and I had not noticed that before. I wonder if it means that it also breaks the red rule, but for a different reason. Because sometimes you get rules where they're actually broken multiple times, but it only wants to show you one of the times to avoid confusing you. And I do wonder if that might be the case here. So the reason I'm having trouble with this is because there actually aren't many ways to kind of draw a line of 3 tiles on the map. You can kind of, if I'm clear these away for a bit, you can kind of draw a line of 3 like this, or like this. That's kind of your only 2 options. It's either a straight line or a corner. We know this one has to be a corner because this would be illegal, we think. This would be illegal. So then this 3 can't go up or left. It can go down. It could do something like this, but I think we've tried this. Yeah, this was guess number 5, for example. I wonder if they have to all connect, as in they not connect, but as in they all have to touch. I feel like that would make sense to me. I mean, this is a very weird sense of touching. The orange rule is clearly to do with diagonal adjacency, but I've never seen this kind of thing in a puzzle yet. That said, if it is that, one thing that we do see very commonly is the idea that kind of all the important regions of a puzzle have to be connected. So, you know, if this means connection, then having them all connected is quite standard. So I think I'll spend another guess on this one. Okay, absolutely not. Hasn't really changed much. Okay. I mean, it's just bad. It's just bad. Is it something like, I bet it, well no, because we did, this still broke the red rule, yeah. Maybe it's that they can't be connected to something that uses the same shape? That would be so weird if that was the case. Every time I have solved one of these puzzles, the last thing I say before solving it is, it would be so weird if it was that way. Oh, God. Okay. So, before I go back and look at the rules, here's how I think this works. Every number has to be connected to a path of shaded tiles equal to that number. They don't have to be touching. Maybe they do have to be touching at least one other shape, but they cannot touch exactly the same shape. So this is a line of 3, this is a corner of 3. This is a line of 3, but it's not touching the other 2 3s. And I think that's it. I mean, the rules, there's 4 rules, but it's going to kind of rephrase them, I think. So let's go for one where we broke a bunch of rules. So size of the block is not equal to the number. We knew that. A block has multiple numbers. Okay, so we kind of intuited both of those rules together, I guess. A block is not diagonally adjacent to another block. I'm so wilded out that that was actually one of the requirements. But yeah, it absolutely was. And this will be the repetition. A chain contains 2 identical blocks. So they call this a chain when at least one shape is touching another diagonally. This is, I mean, it's such an interesting one because this diagonal adjacency thing is not something I looked at before. And I think this is especially weird to me because some puzzles use the opposite of this. So some puzzles don't want shapes to be touching, and they would actually use this to kind of... And in fact, even this puzzle does, kind of, right? Like, the reason this wasn't allowed is because these shapes are considered to be touching. They're kind of the same shape. So, you know, mentally I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, oh, they're not touching. But actually there was kind of a second kind of touching that the puzzle designer was interested in. So I think pretty cool in the end. I actually think this is one of the ones I would be kind of into solving myself, as in just playing the regular puzzle. I think it was actually kind of a cool design. And it was an interesting one. I think some of these Scriddles you have to use guesses to get information, and others you could get a hole in one in, right? Like, I don't think you could get a hole in one on this one. I mean, obviously you could, it's not physically impossible to, but I think there isn't enough just looking at it. And this was one where I felt like, yeah, okay, I'm going to spend a couple of guesses to get a bit more information. But it was really cool. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back for tomorrow as well. I think we're getting more. I don't know when they stop. But yeah, go to scriddle.net if you want to sign up and play these games. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you hopefully tomorrow for the next one.